Good morning. Good morning, y'all. Beautiful Wednesday morning, the day after my last day of work. Good morning, y'all. Happy Wednesday from Yolandas Books. So, as y'all know, today is what? I think it's the 22nd or 23rd. So, it is almost the end of October. Yes, almost the end of October, y'all. So today I just wanted to come on, say good morning to y'all beautiful people, and to give you guys my November TBR. I don't even know why I keep doing these TBRs because I never stick to them because I'm such a big mood reader. But I just love the thought of having a TBR. And the reason why I love the thought of having a TBR, y'all, is because I get to shop my bookshelves and see what books I want to read so that I don't forget about a lot of books, because I have over 600 and something books. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I forget about what books I have. So if any of this interests you, if you would subscribe to my channel and become a part of Yolandas Books family, you will be able to see everything bookish from us. I love you guys. Subscribe to my channel, tell a friend, ask them to subscribe to my channel. And guys, let me show y'all what I want to read in the month of November, at least my possibles. Let's go. Hey guys, so again, let's just get straight into this video. This will be my November TBR, my November possibles, the books that I might read in November, the books that I plan to read in November. It is just so hard for me to stick to a TBR because I am such a huge mood reader. I can look at a book, let's say I'm in my book rooms, like this room, or the one up front, or the other bookshelf that's in my living room. I can look at that bookshelf and see a book that I want to read, and I will pull it off my shelf and I will read that book, and it has nothing to do with my TBR. So I am a huge mood reader. If you are a huge mood reader, drop it down in the comments. Let me know that you are a huge mood reader, and hey, we'll just do this thing. But I still like having TBRs because I still like the thought of being able to read certain books in the certain months, certain years, and just the certain times of my book journey. So I just really want to share with you guys one of the books that I am currently reading. Excuse me, and it is a memoir. It's called Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zerner. So we are currently reading this book. It is a memoir, and I am actually enjoying this book. It is actually read by the author, and I love when a memoir is read by that particular author, because you can actually feel the emotions and how that person actually felt when they were going through those things in their life. So that is why memoirs are just so important to me, so delectable to me, because you can actually feel what that person was going through during that time of their life when it was actually happening, and it just gets you to know that person even better. So that is why memoirs are dear to my heart. If I actually know author, heard of an author or actor or anyone, if their memoirs are available, I would love to read their memoirs, because like I said, it just puts you in the life of that author. And I think that there's nothing more better than to be able to be in the life of that author from beginning to end, of which what I mean by end is where they are now in their life. So that when you're reading their books, you can think, oh, well, they've been through that. Oh, well, they had to experience that. Oh, this is where they came from. That just makes their writings even more interesting for me to read. And that's just something that I love. But I'm not going to go into detail about what this book is about. But I do love the way they have the noodles and the chopsticks on this book, with it being that this author is Korean, I think. But anyway, guys, this is what I'm currently reading as of right now. And like I said, I am actually loving it because I just love memoir. So that's just it. So today we're going through our November TBR. I broke it down into sections just so that you guys will have a better view on the different books that I want to read within the month of November. I feel like it would be a little bit better if I break it down to, let's say, like I got thrillers, I got memoirs, I got fantasies, and I got romance books. That way you guys will just be able to follow me a little bit better and know actually what I am reading for that particular month. So my November TBR is not very huge. I think I have 12 books on my November TBR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. So I have 12 books on my TBR because I have other TBRs. I have my fall TBRs. I have my Kindle TBR. And I have my 2024 TBR. I just have so many TBRs out there. And I do love it because it gives me a chance to read all of my books. So we're going to start with our romance TBR. I picked these two books off of my shelf because I've had these books for quite some time. And I have really been wanting to read these books. But me, as a book reader, more than other times, I don't want to read the same book that everybody is hyping up at the same time. So I would rather give the book time to die down and then read the book so that I will be more excited, more in tune to what I'm actually reading, not just because I'm reading it because everybody else is reading it. So I might be a little late for these books, but it's all good. We can read books at any point in time, right? So the first book that is on my TBR is called Not Another Love Song by Julia Soto. Y'all, I have never read a book by this author. I seen this book being talked about on many people's vlogs, and I decided that I would like to read this book as well. It's called Not Another Love Song by Julia Soto, and I just love when a book cover has a lot of writings about what other authors have said about this book. I just think it is just so enjoyable to read a book that, let's say, an author that you follow a lot or love their books have actually read that book. So Allie Hazelwood, she said, Julia Soto is a favorite writer, is my favorite writer, period. I'll read anything she writes and love every second of it. Who wouldn't want to read this book, especially after you read Allie Hazelwood's books? She has some really good books. Christina Lawrence said 100% romance magic. That is what I'm looking for. That's why I picked this book off of my shelf. It says, when professional and self-taught violinist Gwen Jackson plays, she disappears into the peaks and valleys of each song. A quiet passion that never quite explodes into pure emotion. Xander Thorne is the exact opposite. A celloist, and a rock star. He's all about big emotion. But not even his 6'4" frame can contain his skills, his genius, and attitude that borders on jerkitude. Not only did it take Xander a year to notice that he and Gwen both play in the Manhattan Pops, but he also always seemed to have the perfect cutting criticism about her technique. When Gwen is offered the role of first chair in the orchestra, something Xander has secretly cultivated for years, their existing hostility goes up a notch. Yet, despite her best effort, Gwen can't ignore the sizzling chemistry between them. Forced to work more closely together, it's clear that their powerful connection could make for a performance that would blow everyone's mind. Suddenly, their box office dynamic and fragile romance growing between them is in danger of being crushed beneath a publicity stunt. And Ashley Poston, I've never read a book by her, but I have heard that her books were very good. Like the novel Love Story, I've heard some good things about that. I've heard some good things about 7 Day Slip. And I think I have the Dead Celebrities or the Dead Romantics or something on my shelf by her. But she says Julia Soto never misses. Y'all, I am very excited to be able to read this romance magic in the month of November. Not Another Love Song by Julia Soto. This book has been on my TBR for quite some time. At least my TBR mine list. I've never picked it up and put it on my TBR. But it's Curvy Girl Summer by Daniela Allen. I've never read a book by this author. And I am very excited to be able to read this book this month. It's called Curvy Girl Summer. And to my understanding, guys, I think it's just pretty much about this girl, which her name is Alasia James. She is a fairly healthy girl, as you can see. I don't think... Alright, guys, I don't know where I was when I was talking about this book, but let's start again. So, Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen. I have never read a book by this author, so I am very interested in reading this book by this author. To my understanding, I think it is about this girl here. She is like on the heavy side, and she has no boyfriend, and her family feels like she should get a boyfriend, bring them to like a family function, this, that, and the other. And this guy right here is like the guy that is at the bar or club that she goes to a lot, and they actually are doing like a fake dating trope to appease her family. But the one thing that I also loved about this book was when I think I either read the synopsis or read a couple of pages of this book, of the first chapter, or I think it's the synopsis on the back. It's like, I love the confidence that this girl has. She says she is a thick girl. She is, you know, not a skinny mini, but she loves herself. So this right here also to me could be a body positivity book for somebody to read. But Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen is another book that is on our November TBR. Alright, so guys, you know that I'm not a big person of fantasy, but I have fantasies and I love to read fantasies to some point. So we only have one fantasy book on our list for the month of November, and it is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I know nothing about this book. I've heard people talk about this book on their vlogs, but I still know nothing about this book because most of the time I think it's people that is actually in the middle of reading Legendborn. But I love to read books by black authors, and I love when I see black girls on the cover of books with their black hair just out there, and I just love it, guys. So anyway, this is a fantasy. It is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. And it says, after her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Mathis wants nothing to do with her family members or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape until Bree witnesses a magical attack her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energy. A secret society of so-called Legendborn students that hunt their creatures down, and a mysterious teenager, Mog, who calls himself a Marilyn, and who fails to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. So whoever one of the people is that she's seen do this little human feeding thing, he's trying to wipe her memory of what she saw. The magic fails, reveals Bree's own unique magic and buried memories with the hidden connection. The night her mother died, another person like this guy, a Merlin, was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on the police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of their initiations. Oh my goodness. So basically she wanted to get away from home. because of her mother's death. She didn't want anything to do with the family or the place where her mother passed. She goes to this college in UHC, and the actual people that had something to do with her death is the people that is at that college, and that she actually witnessed what they do to humans. And so that person or one of those people tried to wipe her memory, and she actually have magic of her own. And she then at that time begins to remember that one of these people were actually at the hospital when her mother passed. So she's going to become a member of the gang so that she can try to figure out like what happens to her mom. I feel like this might be a little good book. It has very small words in it, y'all. I hate books that have very small words in it, because I like the larger font. I don't per se like to read large print books, but I don't like for my books to have very small pages. This book is about almost 500 pages long, so not bad, even though the wording is small. But I am very interested in reading Legend Born by Tracy Dion for the month of November. I have a couple of these on my shelf, guys, and I really need to read them because I really actually like reading graphic novels. So we have a graphic novel that we're going to read for the month of September. It's called Lenor New Year Love Story. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. And it is by this author. Y'all, that is a lot, and I just don't know how to say that. But it's actually a love story, a New Year love story. It says she's destined for heartbreak, then fate hands her love. I love reading graphic novels, and I just felt like I needed to get through the graphic novels that I have on my shelf. So I will be reading this graphic novel for the month of November. And y'all, I don't know if y'all know or not, which my graphic novel people, I'm pretty sure that you guys already know. I think, and quote me in the comments if I'm wrong, usually a graphic novel has two authors, or should I say an author and a illustrator. So one person, which is the author who actually wrote the words in the book, and then they have an illustrator who actually drew the pictures in the book. I feel like that is so interesting. I don't think I have seen a graphic novel, or have I, that I have actually read yet that has the author as the illustrator and the writer. I'm trying to think back on some of the graphic novels that I have read, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I thought that was very interesting. It has an author and an illustrator. I always thought, before I knew more than I know about graphic novels, that it was just one person that actually drew the pictures and actually wrote the words. But I am excited to read this one. I'm kind of scared in the same motion, y'all, because this graphic novel actually has like 343 pages. I don't even know how many pages the Heartstopper had, but the Heartstopper series was just so good to me. I did not mind the pages. These pages are full of words and graphics, so hopefully it will be very easy to follow and very easy to read. So we will be reading this graphic novel for the month of November. We also will read queer books for the month of November. I have two here that I want to read. The first one is called The 710 Split by Karen Lee. And I have never read a book by this author either. So I am very excited kind of about this TBR, y'all, because most of the books that I have here are by authors that I have not read from before, but these books have been on my shelf for quite some time. But this one is called The 710 Split by Karen Lee. It is about bowling. Y'all, I love bowling. I love bowling. Me and my family, we used to go make a date to go to the bowling alley like once a month or once a week or something like that. And we would just bowl and have fun. But we haven't been in a while, so hopefully we can like get that back started. But this one also is by a black author. I love reading books by black authors. I love when the cover has the black girls on there stunting their black hair. They're just unique body styles. I just love to read books by black authors. And I'm excited because this book actually is talking about something that is of interest of me, and it is bowling. So it says, for teacher Ava Williams, some subjects are not up to debate, like history, specifically the one she has for Grace Jones, bowling pro and local celeb, who is now for no identifiable reason teaching at the same small town Georgia high school as Ava. So it's Ava and Grace. Once upon a time, guys, have I read a synopsis that started or had that as the start of a sentence? I don't think so. That just kind of like threw me off. Once upon a time, they were thick as thieves, best friends, rivals who pushed each other, and total bowling nerds. Then they shared a kiss, sweet and confusing, and after that they split and nothing ever was the same. Ava is pretty sure she has every reason to hate Grace, especially when the school's soggy potato of a principal announces finally that the students can have the bowling team Ava has been pushing for years, only to hand it to Grace. Now they're expected to be partners and lead their new bowling team to victory in 6 months. And with that, their rivalry is back. Fierce, ultra competitive, and with an undeniable attraction that pushes, pulls, and crashes together. It's history, it's chemistry, and it's just a matter of time before it explodes, one way or the other. This is how love rolls. Y'all, very, very interesting. I think I will like this book. It's called The 7-10 Split by Carmen Lee. And then we have Fly With Me by Andy Burke. I have seen Shaughnessy mention this book on many of her shorts, many of her recs, and I knew I had this book, but I finally decided to pick it off my shelf and actually read it. I am so excited to be able to read it. It is a queer book, as you know, and it says flying fanatic ER nurse Oliver Murphy is still gripping the armrest from her first ever takeoff when the pilot announces as in-flight medical emergency. Y'all, I truly love to read books of clinical necessity, however you say that word. I love reading books that has people that is in the medical field, because I am in the medical field and I just feel so much more connected to the book when I'm reading about a nurse, a doctor, a pediatrician, or anything like that. I have not personally read a book about a respiratory therapist, which I wish I could, but I haven't yet. So I'm putting that out there to any author that is actually watching my vlogs. I have not yet to read a book about a respiratory therapist, and that would be nice to read. But anyway, guys, it says Olive, leaps into action and save a life, but ends up getting stuck in the airport hours away from the marathon she's running in honor of her brother. Luckily for her, Stella, the stunning type A co-pilot, offers to give her a ride. After the two spend a magical day together, Stella makes a surprising request. Will Olive be her fake girlfriend? So this is a fake dating trope. She wants Olive to be her fake girlfriend. I wonder why. Okay, it says a video of Olive saving a life has gone viral and started generating big sales for Stella's airline. Okay, so she wants her to be a statement piece on her airline because she actually saved somebody's life, and that will actually make her airline grow. Okay, use her for what you need her for, right? Stella sees a union with Olive as the perfect opportunity to get the boys club executive at her company who keeps overlooking her for a long deserved promotion. Revealing this arrangement could help her too. Olive dives into memorizing Stella's comically comprehensive 3-ring binder guide to fake dating. As the two grow closer, what was supposed to be a ruse feels more and more real. Could this be the romantic ride of their lives or an epic crash and burn? So we'll see, guys. There's some authors that said some things about this book on the back of this book, but I'm not familiar with any of these. So we have Fly With Me, a novel by Annie Burke. Very interesting. I'm very excited to read that book for the month of November. And yes, it's November. It's the month before December. We have to read a Christmas book. You have to be started your Christmas books by now, y'all. Drop down in the comments how many of y'all will start your Christmas books in November, or how many of y'all have already started your Christmas books. I'm starting in November. So I have 2 that I found on my shelf that I will be reading in the month of November. One is by Tessa Bailey. I've read books by her and I actually have enjoyed it. What did I read? I read it. Is that by Tessa Bailey? Yeah, It Happened One Summer, and then I read Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. Loved them. Loved them. Great books. I will give y'all my honest review on those books when I do my October wrap up. But I love those books. They were so exciting. Anyway, Tessa Bailey, Wreck the Halls is what we will be reading in November as far as a Christmas book. I love to start reading my Christmas book toward the end of October or the beginning of November because it gets me into the Christmas spirit. And along with the stores, when you go in the stores, that's all they got now is Christmas stuff. So Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey. This is not a new book for me. I've had this book on my shelf for quite some time, at least a year. So we're going to read it this year. It says, Melody may be the daughter of music royalty, but her world is so far from glamorous. She spends her days restoring old books and avoiding the limelight. But when a producer offers her a lot of money to reunite her mother's band on live TV, Mel begins to wonder if it's time to rattle the cage, shake up her quiet life, and see him again. The only other person who could wrangle the rock and roll divas. Beat Dawkins, the lead singer's son, is Melody's opposite. The camera loves him and he charms the pants off of everyone. And his mother is not a potential cult leader. Still, they might have been best friends. If not for the legendary feud that broke up the band. When they met as teenagers, Mel felt an instant spark, but it's nothing compared to the wild, intense attraction that built as they embarked on the madcap mission to convince their mothers to perform one last show. While dealing with rock star shindigs, a 24-hour film crew brawls Santas and mobs of adoring fans. What the heck? Mel starts to step out of her comfort zone with Beat by her side, cheering her on. She's never felt so understood. But Christmas Eve is fast approaching, and decades-old scandals is posed to wreck everything. The Steel Birds reunite their relationships with their mothers and their newfound love. So this kind of like sounds like a second chance at romance to me, guys. What do y'all think? Have y'all read this book? But it sounds like a second chance at romance. It sounds like a second chance at friendship. And it sounds like a great musical Christmas book. So we will be reading Wreck the Halls by Tessa Bailey for the month of November. And guys, this one is one that has like 3 stories in it. It says On the Way to Christmas. And it has 3 authors to it. Sheila Roberts, Melissa Ferguson, and Amy Clipston. And the 3 books, or the 3 stories that it has in it, says A Christmas Do-Over by Sheila Roberts, Dashing Through the Snow by Melissa Ferguson, and A Perfectly Splendid Christmas by Amy Clipston. So it says, before Thanksgiving and Christmas, anything can happen. Filled with Christmas spirit and a little chaos too. All 3 stories left my heart filled with joy. 5-star overall. And this is by Nancy Nagal. She's actually an author. It says, in the glistening and heartwarming collection, 3 of today's best sweet romance novelists offer up a gift of cheer for the winter seasons. So, oh, y'all were, I'm sorry, I hope y'all wasn't blurry that whole time. If y'all were, I apologize. But anyway, guys, so this sounds like a romance novel. The little synopsis for each book is short, so I will read them. It says, A Christmas Do-Over. Darby doesn't want to go home for the holidays, but a career failed sends her sleeking back to the small town she always wanted to escape. No one there is especially glad to see the former mean girl, especially not her sister Erica or childhood best friend Gregory. Darby is working hard to be the better person, but has she eaten enough humble pies to make amends? Dashing Through the Snow by Melissa Ferguson. When Wilbur's boyfriend of 7 years dumps her on the eve of a romantic getaway, she decides to take the 2-week train trip to Christmas Express alone. Hurts as she feels, she can't anticipate how the hilarious rebound ride with conductor Oliver F. Ian and aged world adventurer Clarence will heal her heart and renew her sense of worth. Very dainty. A Perfectly Splendid Christmas by Amy Clifton. Casey adores the metropolitan life, but when she gets away to help her sister during a family crisis and run her bakery, she falls in love with a former classmate, Drew. The problem, he's a small town man and she's a big city woman. Is their love big enough to overcome such a major difference? Oh, so that one sounds pretty cute and romantic. I'm not sure about Dashing Through the Snow, but we'll see, because we will be reading these 3 little novels in the month of November. And last but not least is my thriller books for the month of November. Yep, we're not through. We're not through with thrillers yet. I know it's coming up to Thanksgiving. I know it's coming up to Christmas. But your girl loves a great thriller book. I think a few of these books are books that I had on my TBR for October. I did not get a chance to read them, guys. So we will be trying to read them in the month of November. And the first one is The House by Christina Lauren. We talked about this one on my October TBR, so I'm not going to go too in-depth in this book. It says he always dresses in black. From head to toe, and shaggy black hair falls in his eyes, but when Gavin looks up to Delilah, his dark eyes shadow with blush circles seems to flicker to life. Okay, so anyway, we're not going to go too in-depth with this because we already talked about it in October. And also with my first Riley Sager book, The Last Time I Lied, it was also on my October TBR, so we're not going to go too much in depth about this one either because we've talked about it before. But I really want to get in a Riley Sager book because I have not read one yet, guys, and I've heard some really good things about their writing. But this one is, it says 2 truths and a lie. Vivian, Natalie, Allison, and Imola played it all in the time at Camp Nightingale. But the games ended the night Imola sleepily watched the others sneak out of the cabin into the darkness. The last she or anyone saw of them was Vivian closing the cabin door, hushing Imola with a finger pressed to her lips. So I am very excited to figure out like what happened to the other 3 people and things like that. So we got The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. And then, God, y'all go focus, out of focus on me. And then we have a Holly Jackson book, which I think this is the second book to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. It's called Good Girl, Bad Blood. And I think this is about when Pip, she actually has a podcast now. And I think she also will actually help solve another mystery. You remember Pip, she was the one in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder who actually solved a high school murder about a girl who had got killed, and then the person who was accused of it and also got killed. But it says Pip is not a detective anymore, with the help of Reeve, which is the guy that in The Good Girl's Guide to Murder, his brother I think was the one accused of killing the girl, but it wasn't him. She released a true crime podcast about the murder case they solved years ago. Though the podcast went viral, Pip insists that her days are behind her. But when someone she knows goes missing and the police won't do anything, Pip has no choice but to investigate. Jamie Reynolds disappeared on the very same night the town hosted a memorial for the 6-year anniversary of the death of Annie Bell and Sal. It has to be more than a coincidence. So this right here is just not, well, it's pretty much kind of like stemming from the first book. It is a series, so I'm very interested to read this book to see how that actually ties together. And I think I did a little spoiler alert in about the first book, so sorry guys, but A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is very good, and I'm interested in reading A Good Girl's Bad Blood. The second book is a book that I've had on my shelf since, I want to say, September of last year. It's called The September House by Carissa Orlando. I truly wanted to read this book in the month of September just because of what the actual book said, The September House. I have not seen a lot of people talk about this book. I have not seen a lot of people say that they have actually read this book. So I'm very interested in going into this book blind. I love to go into thrillers blind because it just makes it all the more better. This is a hardback book. Yes, I do love hardback books, but I don't per se love hardback books prices. But I love to have a hardback book because sometimes I just like to take the cover off and just read the book this way. And people will be wondering, like, what is she reading? Is she reading a dictionary? Is she reading some kind of history book? No, baby. I'm reading a thriller. But anyway, guys, it says, a woman is determined to stay in her dream home even after it becomes a haunted nightmare in the convulsive, readable, twisty, and layered debate novel. When Margaret and her husband Hal brought the large Victorian house on Hawkins Street for sale at a surprisingly reasonable price, they couldn't believe they finally had the home of their own. Then they discovered it's haunted. Every September, the walls drip blood. The ghosts of former inhabitants appear, and all of them are terrified of something that lurks in the basement. Most people would flee. Margaret is not most people. Alright, Margaret, because Yolanda would have been gone. I would have sold that house to somebody else. Unfortunately, I probably would have told them about what happened in the house, or I would not have, because I would have wanted me some money to go somewhere else. But I would have got the heck out of the house. So I'm very interested in reading The September House by Carissa Orlando. And guys, that is all the books, the 12 books that we will actually be reading in the month of November. Very diverse amount of reads. We have romance, we have fantasy, we have graphic novel, which is a romance. I think it's a love story. And then we actually have some queer books here. which is romance books, but they're queer books. And then we have our thriller books. So guys, drop down in the comments. Tell me or give me a book rec that you are reading in the month of November so that I can actually go and pick that book up, or at least see if I would like to read that book. So with that being said, y'all do all the things every YouTuber tell you to do. Tell a friend, subscribe to my channel, comment and share, and I will see you guys in the next video. I cannot wait because I want to talk to you guys again. Bye guys.